Hello students, today we will start with our second online video lecture for grammar and I am going to teach you punctuation and capital letters. So shall we start now? Punctuation and capital letters. Now first of all you need to understand that punctuation marks are very important for a language. Whenever you are reading something, because of punctuation marks, you have a clear idea of what you are reading, what the writer is trying to say, what is the message being conveyed. That is properly and clearly known to you because of punctuation marks and capital letters. Capital letters also play a very important role in language, in writing something. So, we will start now with the first punctuation and that is full stop. Full stop is indicated by a dot. Now, I will give you one example for that. Okay? I am writing a book. Now after this sentence I have put here a full stop. As you can see here, I am writing a book. Full stop. So what is the role of full stop? We need to understand. Full stop indicates completion of a sentence. Whenever a sentence is complete, we need to signify it with a full stop. Because of full stop, we can come to know that the sentence is complete. If here I rub out full stop and only it is written, I am writing a book, the person who is reading the sentence will have a doubt that whether the sentence is complete or I am going to continue with the sentence. So, in order to have a clear picture or a clear understanding of the message of the sentence, I need to put a full stop. That gives a clear picture, a clear message to the reader that the sentence is complete. If I just go on writing things, it will not have a clear message. That is why you need to put a full stop after the completion of the sentence. So the first punctuation is full stop. Now we will have a look at number second, that is comma. Comma is indicated like this, as you can see here, comma, right? Now what is the role of comma? Comma breaks two sentences. Whenever a sentence is a very long one, it breaks up the sentence in two parts. Why? Because when there is a long sentence, you need to pause a bit after a first part of the sentence, and that is why when you take a pause in the sentence, comma is necessary. Comma is also used for yes, no, after the name of a person. Comma is necessary to be written for a pause, as I told you in a sentence. Now, I will show you some examples. The first one is, yes, I have done my work. After yes, I have given a pause. Yes, I have done my work. After yes, there is a second pause over there, and to notify that pause, I have given here a comma. It can be also written after please. Please give me a glass of water. Please. After please, I have given a pause for a second, and to notify that pause, I have to put comma when I am writing the sentence. Comma has to be there after the name of a person also. I'll show you one example. Here I am writing a person's name. Hiren, give me a glass of water. Now as you can see here, after Hiren I have given a comma. Hiren, give me a glass of water. After Hiren I am taking a pause for a second, and that pause is to be notified by comma. So after the name of a person you need to put a comma. Now we will move on to the next punctuation, and that is semicolon. Semicolon is being notified by a dot and a comma, both in a combination. Now what is a semicolon? In simple words, if you want to understand semicolon, it is a longer pause than a comma. It shows a longer pause in a sentence. And when you don't want to join the sentence with conjunctions like but, and so, you can use instead of them a semicolon to join a sentence. If you put a semicolon in sentence, you don't need to use conjunctions like and, but, and so. Now I'll give you one example for that. I lost my keys yesterday. I lost my keys yesterday. Then I'll put a semicolon and I'll write I found them today. Here the sentence ends. Now as you can see, the first part of the sentence is I lost my keys yesterday. But the other part of the sentence to be continued, I have put here a semicolon, that is a pause, a longer pause after finishing the first half of the sentence. A semicolon is here, then I have written I found them today, that is the second part of the sentence. So as I am not joining the sentence with conjunction, I am joining it with semicolon. This is the role of semicolon in the sentence. Now we will move on to the next punctuation, that is colon. Colon is 2 dots. Now when is colon used? Colon is used for notifying list of things, for writing a list of things, and it is also used for writing drama or a play, for writing the dialogues, for writing the conversation between two people. Colon is used. It is very common in conversations, in drama, in play. It's very commonly used. So now what is colon? Colon is a longer pause than semicolon. In comparison to semicolon, it is a longer pause. I'll give you one example for colon. ingredients of cake are. Now before starting the list of ingredients, I will put a column here, because I am going to start with the list of things. Which list? Ingredients of cake. So here I'll write flour, butter, sugar, etc. As you can see the sentence, I have written ingredients of cake are. Then a colon before starting the list. Flour, butter, sugar. Now after flour I have put a comma. After butter I have put a comma. Comma plays a very important role when you are listing things. This is another point which you need to remember for comma. Comma is very important when you are listing things. So flour, comma, butter. You need to differentiate between flour, butter and sugar. If I don't put a comma here, how will you read it? You will read it flour, butter, sugar, but there will be some doubt in your mind that how it can be flour, butter, sugar? Are they together? Are they separate? So the message is not clear. You need to separate flour from butter, and that is why a comma is required here. Flour, comma, butter, then comma, sugar. Comma plays an important role when you are listing things to differentiate them from each other. And now I'll give you one more example for colon. Colon is used in conversation or for dialogues, as I told you, for play or a drama. We will write one example for that. Now here, as you can see, Meena, then I have put a colon, then I am alright. Now here, after looking at the sentence, you can clearly understand that Meena has spoken this dialogue. Meena has spoken this sentence, that is, I am alright, which is very clearly understood by us because after Meena we have put here a colon. So this sign is very important for writing conversations or dialogues, that is colon. Now moving on, we will look at the next punctuation, that is question mark, and you can look at the symbol of question mark here. Very commonly used by us. When we use a question mark, when we are asking somebody a question, when we are asking something to someone, we add a question mark at the last, right? Because the person who is listening or the person who is, you can say, reading it out should have a clear idea that the writer is asking something. And that is why question mark is necessary, right? So I'll give you one example here. How are you? A very simple question which is being denoted by a question mark at the last. This is the role of question mark. You need to put a question mark so that the person who is reading it has a clear idea that you are asking them. Sometimes it may happen that if you don't put a question mark, the person who is reading gets confused that the person is asking me or telling me something. So, if you are asking something, you need to put a question mark at the end to clarify the message. Now, we will have a look at the next punctuation, that is exclamation mark. Exclamatory sentences. When we speak exclamatory sentences, we speak some words for exclamations. That is when you are giving a gesture of surprise, joy, when you are giving a gesture of sadness sometimes. At that time we use exclamation mark. I'll give you one example for that. Hooray! We won the match. Hooray! After hooray, I have given exclamation mark because that word itself is telling us a gesture of joy. It's a gesture of joy which is being there. So, after hooray, I have written here exclamation mark. Now, I will give you another example for exclamatory sentence. How beautiful the weather is. This is an exclamatory sentence. How beautiful the weather is. Here the person who is speaking to the other person, who is in conversation with other person, is trying to say that the weather is beautiful, and the listener who is listening to it is also agreeing with the sentence, and that is why here it is written how beautiful the weather is. The person is trying to say the weather is beautiful, but the way in which it is being spoken, it is exclamatory sentence. Let us move on to the next punctuation, and that is quotation mark. You can even say inverted commas. These are double inverted commas. Now, what is the role of double inverted commas? Double inverted commas are used for writing a dialogue spoken by a person in direct speech. I'll give you one example for that. Neha said. Now remember one thing, when you want to start with double inverted commas, first of all, before starting double inverted comma, you need to put a comma here after said. Now we will start with double inverted comma with a dialogue. Neha said. Please give me your book. Here the sentence ends. After full stop, we are closing double inverted comma. Now you can have a look at the sentence how it is written. Neha said, comma, then only you can start with double inverted commas. Remember this. Double inverted commas, please give me your book, full stop, and double inverted comma gets closed, right? Here after please, I have put here a comma. As I told you, yes, no, please, after the name of a person, comma is to be there. Why? Because you are taking a pause. Please give me your book. After please there is a second pause, and that is why it has to be notified with a comma. So this is quotation marks, or you can say double inverted commas, which are to be used for writing dialogues. Now the last one in punctuation is apostrophe. Apostrophe is a comma which is at the upper side, as you can see here. It is upper side. So what is the role of apostrophe? Apostrophe is put because you want to show or you want to convey a message of a possession or a belonging of something. I'll give you one example so that you have a clear idea about apostrophe. Now look at the sentence. My father's car. Fathers. Can you see here? I have put here one apostrophe and then S. Father's car. It shows a belonging. It shows a possession. Whose possession is there on the car? Father's. Father's car. So this plays a role of showing a belonging or a possession on something. That is the role of apostrophe. My father's car is very expensive. Whose car? Then you can get an answer. Father's, because it is showing a belonging, or you can say a possession. Now we will move on to capital letters. After discussing punctuations, we will have a look at capital letters. They also play a very important role in writing a language. So let's have a look that where capital letters are necessary to be used. Now you can look at the first example. Just wait a minute. It is a simple sentence. So here you can understand that the first point where you need to use capital letters is whenever you want to start a sentence, the first letter of the sentence has to be capital. Here J is capital. Why? Because it is the starting of the sentence. Any sentence, any time, whenever you start, the first letter has to be capital. Just wait a minute. A simple sentence, but the first letter is capital. Now we will have a look at the second point, that is proper nouns. For proper nouns, the capital letters are to be used. For example, name of a person. Now Ashok, Priya, Ashok. A has to be capital because it is a name. Priya, P has to be capital because it is a name of a person. Always the first letter for the names of people, the first letter has to be capital. Now language, Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, English, the first letter has to be capital. H for Hindi, M for Marathi. The first letter for the language names has to be capital. River, Ganga, Saraswati, Brahmaputra, Jamuna. For these names, the names of the rivers, the first letter has to be capital. Then weekdays, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the first letter has to be capital. Months, January, February, March, the first letter has to be capital. Then it is countries, states and cities. You can say England, then you can say London, city name, England is a country name, state, you can say Karnataka. For these places, for these names, the first letter has to be capital. Now you have to remember one thing, irrespective of at which place you are writing it, it can be in between the sentence, it can be at the starting of the sentence, it can be at the end of the sentence, but the first letter has to be capital for this proper nouns category. Now the third point, that is degree and title. When you are having degree names like M.Com, B.Com, CA, the first letter has to be capital. Here I have written M.Com. M is capital. It shows Masters of Commerce. B.Com, Bachelors of Commerce. M has to be capital. Bachelors, B has to be capital for degree names. Next is title. When you give a title to someone, sir, madam, the first letter has to be capital. For madam, M is capital. For sir, S has to be capital because they are titles given to some person. So here you can see capital letters. The first one is, as I told you, the starting of the sentence, first letter has to be capital. Then for proper nouns, irrespective of where they are used, it can be at the starting of the sentence, in between or end, but the first letter has to be capital for this. And degree and titles, M.Com, madam, sir, the first letter has to be capital. One more thing, for personal pronoun like I is to be capital for all the sentences. Whenever you are using I in a sentence, we never write I like this. Do we write it like this? No. So for personal pronouns like I has to be always written like this, capital. It's mandatory. You have to write I in capital letters. And G for God. We always write G capital for God. We never write like this. This is wrong. Always G has to be capital when you are mentioning God. And for personal pronouns which are used for God, it can be he, it can be she for God, then that first letter also has to be capital.